As government moves to transform Nyacharara airfield in MBARARA into a major international airport and aviation hub, it is banking on Uganda's location as a possible midpoint between Asia and South America. According to President, Uganda's geographical location makes it strategic refueling and transit point for flights between China and Brazil, with ambitions to capture 30% of that traffic. But a tour of existing airfield tells a different story, one of underdeveloped infrastructure, low traffic volumes, and missed opportunities. From Arua in the northwest to Kisoro in the southwest and Jinja in the east, several airfields are already supporting trade, tourism and regional movement. This raises a key question. Should Uganda first invest in strengthening the aviation infrastructure it already has? But what's the current state of airfields across the country? As indicated in the previous story in this series, the facility lacks critical infrastructure, including air navigation systems, fire and rescue services, and customs as well as immigration. It's a 1.5-kilometer gravel runway, limits operations to small aircraft carrying between 16 and 24 passengers. Passenger traffic remains minimal, averaging just 30 to 40 travelers a month. In contrast, Arua Airfield in West Nile presents a different picture. By mid-morning, aircrafts are already landing and preparing for other daily rotations, linking Arua to Entebbe, Kajansi and parts of South Sudan, with some completing up to 4 legs a day. One aircraft taxis along the gravel runway before taking off for Entebbe with a full passenger load, kicking up a cloud of dust as it lifts off. Another aircraft, which had arrived from Kajansi, is scheduled to proceed to South Sudan before returning to Arua. Arua's strength lies in strategic location of Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan, making it a vital hub for cross-border trade and humanitarian operations. A significant number of passengers originate from the DRC, many cross into Uganda by road and then board domestic flights from Arua to Entebbe, while others connect onward to other destinations. Arua remains one of Uganda's busiest domestic airfield, averaging 180 air traffic movements and more than 1,000 passengers a month. Eagle Air currently operates 3 scheduled flights a week. Immigration officers are stationed on site, unlike at many other airfields where they appear only on demand. Despite this demand, infrastructure remains a major constraint. The 1.8-kilometer gravel runway limits aircraft capacity, while expansion efforts have been slowed by land acquisition challenges and compensation disputes. Residents were compensated around 2018 when the government first moved to expand the facility. While many accepted the terms, some disputes remain, including disagreements over valuation and compensation among a few landowners.
They went to the community and said, their land does not stop here, rather it stops the other side. Then the community says, no, what you compensated was from here up to here. But where you are showing now, you have not compensated.
There are some few people who refused the compensation because they thought the compensation was less. They are still around. But in terms of land, I think we have now enough for the 3.5-kilometer runway length.
Community leaders say additional land is still needed to meet expansion plans, but the government has not fully engaged them on subsequent acquisition plans. The government plans to develop Arua into a regional and international airport. The first phase of the project is estimated to cost $143 million, about 529 billion shillings. The government is currently engaging the African Development Bank for funding under the Tourism Development Project. In southwestern Uganda, Kisoro Airfield is located near the borders with Rwanda and the DRC. It serves as a key gateway to Bwindi Impenetrable Forest National Park and Mugahinga Gorilla National Park.
PAL 004, when you are ready, at your discretion, enter runway 1836 and backtrack runway 36.
From the onset, Kisoro presents a different picture from Arua. There is no dusty runway as aircraft take off or taxi. The runway and apron are paved and upgrade works are ongoing. Unlike Arua and Nyachalala, Kisoro now has a paved runway, taxiway and apron, as well as operational safety systems including fire and rescue services. Over the past decade, traffic has grown significantly. In March alone, the airfield recorded 528 passengers and 104 aircraft movements. This was during what is considered a low season. Located just a few kilometers from Rwanda and DR Congo, this facility is not just a local facility. It handles both domestic and international flights. Now, tourists make up a big percentage of the passenger traffic here at this facility.
And a number of gorilla families increased. So you find that little Kisoro has developed drastically and has reached on a stage whereby we receive, in the season of tourism, we receive more than 7 aircrafts.
A journey from Kisoro to Entebbe that takes about 12 hours by road is reduced to roughly 1 hour and 15 minutes by air. However, Kisoro is not without limitations.
As you have seen, as you have moved around here, you have seen storied buildings of which we are not supposed to be having around the airport. In the case of any of them which were there, you have seen that, you have seen the trees, you have seen the mountains. So the telling of Kisoro also dictates.
Plans are underway to extend the runway and expand terminal capacity as the government considers upgrading the facility to international status. However, there is room to extend the runway by an additional 800 meters, bringing it to a maximum of 2,000 meters. In eastern Uganda, Jinja Airfield, originally built with a short runway, has recently undergone improvements. By March 2026, most of the upgrades had been completed, including a paved runway measuring about 1.7 kilometers, an expanded apron capable of handling 6 medium-sized aircraft, and a new taxiway to improve aircraft movement. The upgrade of the Jinja Airfield started in November 2024. Now, according to engineers, the completion rate stands at 95%. Now, a number of features have been added. For example, the taxiway. The taxiway helps in the transition from the runway to the apron. Now, the apron is basically the parking space for the aircrafts, so the taxiway helps in relieving the runway occupancy. The other feature that has been added are the safety strips.
And when we are designing runways, we look at the altitude. So you'll find that this length of 1,700 meters can accommodate a CRJ, okay, at sea level. If we are at 0, it could accommodate. But here, it cannot accommodate at full load.
The airfield has a small terminal building with a cafe, waiting area, offices and washrooms, similar to many other airfields.
We would have loved to make this one longer than 1.7, okay? But we had limitations. When you look at this side, it is already a built-up area. We couldn't go beyond it. When you turn this side, we have got those hills. We couldn't go beyond where we are because if an aircraft is taking off, it will already be entering what? Entering a hill.
Officials note that while the airfield has basic facilities, including a modest terminal building, aviation police security, and meteorological services, it still lacks key infrastructure required for international operations.
We are required to have a control tower here. A control tower, those are the guys who communicate ground and the air. We need to have the fire and rescue services. Because in the aviation industry, we treasure safety and security. Those ones, we don't have them here.
However, other challenges remain, including the poor state of the access road leading to the airfield, which authorities say must be improved to match the upgraded facility. Across the country, a clear pattern emerges. Arua demonstrates strong demand constrained by infrastructure. Kisoro shows how investment can unlock growth, though it still faces limitations. Jinja reflects gradual progress, while Nacharara highlights both ambition and scale of what is missing. This has sparked debate among aviation stakeholders. Some argue that the government should prioritize upgrading existing airfields that are already supporting economic activity, especially in trade and tourism.
Revenues in airports are based on a cost recovery arrangement. Is what you pick from there is what you reinvest. Short of that, then you have government to construct an airport from other sources of funding.
According to the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, most airfields do not generate enough revenue to sustain their own development, making them to rely on government funding and other financing.
Even those where are frequented by tourists, none of them can generate enough revenue for investing in themselves for this very, very, very heavy and costly infrastructure.
Uganda currently has 57 airfields, with only 14 operated by the Civil Aviation Authority, including Entebbe, Arua, Gulu, Kasese, Kisoro, and Jinja. Other airfields owned and operated by Uganda Civil Aviation Authority are Moroto, Lira, Masindi, Tororo, Soroti, Pakuba, Kidepo, Gulu, and Kasese. Entebbe International Airport remains the country's main gateway and continues to expand, with passenger numbers rising to about 2.4 million annually. Meanwhile, Kabalega International Airport in Hoima is nearing completion and is expected to become operational in July 2026. However, many still face challenges, including land constraints, limited infrastructure, and low passenger demand.
What we are doing now is to anticipate that when we invest now, we must also accompany with a robust marketing plan.
The Civil Aviation Authority says there are plans to revive domestic routes once operated by Uganda Airlines, including flights to Arua and Kasese. But also, Entebbe International Airport itself is undergoing major expansion. Passenger traffic at Entebbe International Airport has grown from under 100,000 passengers in the 1970s to about 2.4 million annually today. The airport has recently undergone expansion, including a new terminal opened in 2024. Further upgrades are still ongoing. The upgraded terminal will increase capacity with more check-in counters, immigration desks, boarding gates, and enhanced baggage handling systems with improved security. Cargo volumes are also rising. The cargo center was recently expanded by 100,000 square meters, with plans to double that capacity within the next 2 years. But land remains a constraint.
And we had negotiated with the government to give us land of agriculture.
According to the Civil Aviation Authority master plan, there is need for a second runway measuring 3.7 kilometers.
The expansion in the next 50 years would demand that we actually find a way of getting out of Entebbe here, probably across the water into those areas of wire.
Then, should Uganda first invest in aggressive marketing and development of existing aviation infrastructure before pursuing a new mega airport project? In the last part of our series, Chasing the Big Dream in the Air, we will look at what the business and tourism fraternity in MBARARA and the region expect from this project. Norbert Atukunda, NTV News.